Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you all have gone through whatever we have learned thus far and are looking forward to everything that's in store. So, let's get ready to start the third module of this course, which will deal with data structures and collections. Starting off with lists. Lists are collections of variables and are created using third brackets. The elements are written within third brackets. Key features: ordered. Elements in a list have a defined order which is preserved. Mutable. We can modify, add, or remove elements even after a list is created. Heterogeneous. A list can contain elements of different data types. We are not bound to define list with only int or only float data. Indexable. We can access lists by their index with the first element indexed as 0. Moving on, we have tuples and sets. Tuples. These are similar to lists except the fact that tuples are immutable. That is, once a tuple is created, its elements cannot be modified. Like lists, however, tuples can have repeated elements. Tuples are created using parentheses, or which we know as first bracket, or the tuple constructor. Sets. Unique elements. A set automatically eliminates duplicate values. Unordered. The elements do not have a specific order. Non-indexable. Unlike lists, we cannot access elements here by index. Sets are created using curly braces or the set constructor. So now we know what lists, tuples, and sets are and how they are different from each other. Next up is dictionaries. Its key features are key value pairs. Each item in a dictionary is a key value pair, where the key is unique and maps to a specific value. Dictionaries are unordered and mutable. Keys are unique. A dictionary cannot have duplicate keys. If, however, a key is repeated, then the latest value will override the previous one. Fast lookups. We can quickly retrieve data associated with some key. Now, dictionaries may be a bit difficult to understand since its real world meaning does not accurately explain its role in the programming language. So, you can think of dictionaries as a contact list, where each entry is divided into two parts: a person's name and their contact details. Each contact has a unique name, and the contact details, be it phone numbers or email IDs, are the associated values. We can navigate the contact details by entering the person's name. Now let's see for ourselves how these work. Today we will be using Python Tutor, which is a sort of online visualizer used for visualizing data structures and code execution. You can just Google Python Tutor. Here it is. Then you have to click on the Ask a Question box. This. You can type a question here. So let's go with list operations. After typing a question, you can also type a code here, by the way. You have to click on send. Now you will get a pop-up alerting you that the users are allowed only one chat per minute. You can just click on OK and proceed. So this AI tutor explains to you with a code what operations can be performed on lists. This is similar to how ChatGPT works, just that AI tutor here also allows you to visualize the code. So click on Visualize Me. So since this is AI, the answers can be a bit complicated at times. You can just type here what operations can be performed on lists in Python. Like make the question more clear. Since it is one message per minute, we have to wait till the next minute that we get. So here the AI is giving us a much better answer. So since we have the example code, let's visualize it. Click on Visualize Me, then click on Visualize Execution. Here it is. So here they're mentioning that there are 22 steps in the visualizing process. Let's click on Next. So here the list is defined, which contains the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we can also see the indexes mentioned. 1 has the index 0, 2 has the index 1, and so on. Let's go on. So when we print my list at index 0, we will get the output 1 because at index 0 we have the value 1. Next we are slicing the list, like we are cropping the lists. We do not want all the values, we want to print specific values starting from the index 1 to index 3. This will give us the output 2 and 3. Next we are modifying lists. Now we have discussed append before. Append just includes a value at the end of the list. Here it is. 6 is added to the list and this is the new list. Now insert is another way of adding elements to the lists. We can add elements to the front of the list or anywhere we want. At index 0, now we have the element 0. Here is the new list. We can also perform arithmetic operations here. 2 lists are being added. And this is the list result. This is the result for multiplication. Now comparison operations. By the way, you can also click on last here, the option next to next. But I believe going through a program one step at a time would be benefit for the beginner. So here we have Boolean results of the comparisons. Next we are sorting the list. Sorting basically, like if you are not entering any other condition, it will sort the list. It will print the list. It will convert the list in ascending order. And then we are printing it. Next we can reverse the list. The positions of the elements will be reversed here. Here it is. So here we are counting the list. We are counting the 5th element of the list, not the index. It is not the index we are talking about here. So it is 1. Here, however, we are talking about the index. Like here, it's a different code. Here we want to know the index of the element 5. Whereas in the previous code, we wanted to know in what, like if we are counting up to 5, what is the element that we have in the 5th place. So here it is. These were some examples of the operations that can be performed in lists. You can do the similar exercise with sets and tuples. You can check out various operations that we can perform using tuples and sets. And again, since this is AI, you can write number of queries and number of questions. Like it may not give you this exact answer in the first try. Now, tuple sets and lists are very similar, just that some are mutable and ordered while some are not. When you visualize the code here, you can understand the distinctions between these collections. Now let's check out dictionaries, since it's slightly different from the collections before. So here is how to create a dictionary. Let's visualize creation of a dictionary. So this is the syntax of a dictionary. Like name is the key while John is the value associated. So you can see that dictionary is more of a table than a list. We can also create dictionary using the dictionary constructor. The things written outside the quotes are the keys, and equal to just is like assigning the value John to name. We can also create dictionaries this way using a loop. So here it is. So in the first position, we have 1. In the second position, we have 2. So this is also in the form of a table. Again, you can check out many other functions that the dictionary has and the dictionary operations. So let's visualize this one, accessing and modifying dictionary elements. Visualize execution. So here we want to access John. So we are using the key called name so that we get the output as John. Similarly, we are doing the same for age. So this is how fast lookups work. Like we are just using the key to reference the value that it is associated with. Now let's check out dictionary methods. So the dictionary is here. So in this case, we are printing the keys of the dictionary. So the output is name and age. Next, we are printing the values John and 30. Next, we are printing all the items. Again, we are accessing the value John through the key called name. Here we are modifying the dictionary. We are adding city with the value New York to the dictionary. This is the new dictionary. Now mydic.pop age. This will also print the output 30. Now in addition to printing the output, like when we are writing pop age, we will get the output 30, but the dictionary will get rid of the key called age and the value associated with it. Now the new dictionary is name John and city New York. The value age is nowhere to be found. So the value age, the key age and the value associated with it is essentially removed from the dictionary. So you can explore many more things about sets, tuples, lists and dictionaries by just typing it here. And also just remember the one message per minute and like after 1 minute you have to wait till a minute to type the second message. Now let's move on. Next we have comprehension, which is a concise way to create and manipulate collections. They allow you to generate and transform collections in a single line of code. Most commonly used comprehension are list comprehensions, set comprehensions, and dictionary comprehensions. We obviously have nothing called tuple comprehensions, since tuples are immutable. Now let's check out comprehensions. Let's use Python REPL for this. Python 3. Let's go with List first, list comprehension. So let's compute this one line that we have written. Let's print squares. We can do the same for sets. Just that in case of sets, we have to use second bracket or curly braces. Other than that, everything is same. Let's print squares again. It will also give us the same value. So both times I have named the variable as squares, so the values are just overwritten. So you have to remember that square used to be a list. But because I defined square with curly braces, the square here has become a set. Now let's see dictionary. Dictionary also uses second bracket. But the difference is that since it is more like a table, so we have to write it this way. We can't just write x star star 2. We have to write x colon x star star 2. So the square, which was a set, has become a dictionary now. Let's print squares again. Here it is. So it's more like a table. So for 0, we have 0. For 1, we have 1. For 2, we have 4. For 3, we have 9, and so on. We can also use comprehensions for further complicated operations, such as using them in nested or multidimensional lists. Now you can see how we can compute in a single line, which would otherwise require multiple lines or even loops, which take up more runtime and are just less efficient. Like, think about, we have learned for loop. So think how you would have done it in for loop. You had to first define the array or whatever the list or set called squares. Then you have to run this for loop, which would square each value for you, and then you can print it. But here we can just do it in a single line. So it just saves more time and even helps us to understand. Like if we are writing the code properly, the comprehension, the syntax for comprehension is also pretty easy to understand if written properly. So now we have come to the end of this video and it's time for a recap. We started off with lists, tuples and sets and how they differ from each other in mutability, indexability and uniqueness. Next we had dictionaries and how they are collections in a form of table. We also learned about code visualization in Python Tutor, which helped us to understand collections better. And we finally ended with list comprehension, set comprehension, and dictionary comprehension. And we learned how comprehensions enable us to use a single line that could do a job of a multiple lines or loops. So we have come to the end of this video and the third module of the course. I hope you enjoyed the video and I would love to hear your thoughts about it. You can comment down any questions you might have about any of the lectures thus far. Any kind of suggestions regarding the course is always welcomed. I hope you guys are perfectly fine with the pacing of the lectures and this experience is as enjoyable to you as it is to me. Good luck to you and see you guys in the next video. Let's keep having fun with Python, shall we? Until then, bye-bye.